The story of the two oldest burials at this cemetery doesn't begin here, but down the road from the fort, where once was located a village and a church.
And that was the Church of St. Anne, which was the original parish here, which was founded in 1721. When the British came into the fort, the people in the village did not like being around the British, and almost the entire village of Chartres was abandoned. The church then sort of fell into ruin, and Father Muren, who was here then, took church vessels and to St. Joseph's, which was the only then surviving church in the area, and also moved the bodies of Father Ganon and Father Collet, who were the last priests at the Church of St. Anne, and moved them here to the cemetery at Prairie du Rocher. Father Joseph Ganon was a member of the Seminary of Foreign Missions. He had been stationed up at the Seminary of Foreign Missions, one in Cahokia. That they had the Church of the Holy Family up there. And in 1731, when the new Church of St. Anne was built, they requested from the Jesuits a priest to come to be their curate at the church. However, the Jesuits did not have a priest at the time, and so the villagers asked the Seminary of Foreign Missions to send a priest. This was quite contrary to ecclesiastical law, but that's what they did. And so the Seminary of Foreign Missions sent down Father Joseph Ganon, and he remained there at the church until his death. After that, Father Luc Collet, who was a Recollet missionary, was sent down from Cahokia, and he stayed there again until 1765 when he died. After that, they were without a regular full-time priest.
Also etched in the stones are family names that are common to the area and whose roots reach back to the fort and the commerce it protected.
The de Rousses track theirs back to a man who was a voyageur, and then worked his way up to being a merchant voyageur, which means that he was hiring people to work for him. So that's how people came, was that they would sign up originally in the 1720s with the Company of the Indies. They would sign up for 3 years to come over here, and then they could go back to France if they wanted to. But many of them found the fact that they had the free land here, and it was good living. They decided to stay on, and that's what happened with these people's ancestors. Oh, there's Barbeau's there too, and they're still in town. Jean-Baptiste Barbeau and his brother, also called Jean-Baptiste, came here in the 18th century, and then Jean-Baptiste was the commandant of the village of Prairie du Rocher under the British and again under the Americans. The iron crosses that you see in this cemetery, and some wooden ones, which are a few still in existence, are a very old tradition. A lot of cemeteries in Canada and Quebec and Ile Royale and places like that have these. It's a very old tradition and apparently has been continued here up probably into about the 1870s.
Among the headstones is this plaque dedicated to those whose graves are no longer marked and whose remains reside here and in other French cemeteries. They include not only the voyageurs and trappers, but also slaves and Native Americans. Although he was not a colonist, this stone marks the resting place of a local priest who has an interesting story.
He was said to have had a couple of apparitions of the Virgin Mary, which I think is probably why she's on his tombstone there. Supposedly one here in the cemetery and one up on the bluffs there. Also, he was said to be so saintly that he would come in to a parish home out of the rain and he would be perfectly dry. The rain would not have fallen on him.
Today the villages and churches are gone, but these markers, along with the fort, remain. They're remnants of an empire that once stretched around the globe in a time before the birth of our country.